Stop record. Camera choose. Stop recording. Button.
Hello everybody, we're back with another version or installment or whatever you want to call this of our Neil Res Book Club. You are, as per usual, being broadcast to live from the luxury appointed suites of Mr. Wetloffer's dining room. You are also, as per usual, propped against the clothespin bucket, and the budgies are in attendance over yonder on the cabinet. So, I've decided to put Here's Hank on a little micro holiday hiatus type thing. And we're going to try one of our new books from a series called My Weird School by a fella named Dan Gutman, which is kind of a fun name to say on its own. So, this here book is again, judging by the title, about a kid in school who thinks it's, kind of weird, hence the name My Weird School. The title of this book is Miss Holly is Too Jolly, and it's written from the perspective of AJ, who I'm pretty sure is a second grader. So, let's see what we got here. We'll start off with the table of contents, because these chapters have names. So, table of contents. Chapter 1, Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa. Chapter 2, Weird Words. Chapter 3, Santa Klutz is coming to town. Chapter 4, Secret Santa. Chapter 5, Learning how to speak Spanish. Uh-oh, that could be interesting. Chapter 6, the opposite of Hanukkah. Chapter 7, is Santa Claus real? Chapter 8, getting ready for the holiday pageant. Chapter 9, the most horrible thing in the history of the world. Chapter 10, my genius idea. Chapter 11, the arrival of Secret Santa. And Chapter 12, the big holiday pageant. So, My Weird School, Miss Holly is Too Jolly by Dan Gutman. Chapter 1, Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa. Mi llamo AJ e rio la escuela. That's, my name is AJ and I hate school, in Spanish. Miss Holly translated it for me. She's the Spanish teacher at elementary school. It's not fair, I said as our class walked down the hall to the language lab. Why do we have to learn a whole nother language? Nother isn't a word, Arlo, said Andrea Young. You can't even speak English correctly. Andrea is this girl in my class with curly brown hair who thinks she knows everything. She calls me by my real name because she knows I hate it. Nother is too a word, I told her. Is not, is too. We went back and forth like that for a while. Andrea said she looked up nother in the dictionary once, and it wasn't there. She's probably the only kid in the world who keeps a dictionary on her desk so she can look up words and show everybody how smart she is. Another is a word, Andrea said, but nother. Oh yeah, I said. If nother isn't a word, then why did you just say it? Na-na-na boo-boo on her. Andrea was wearing this dumb hat that she made all by herself in knitting class. Andrea takes classes in everything. She probably even takes a class in how to be annoying because that's something she's good at. After walking 1,100,000 miles, we finally got to the language lab. What a dumb name. Labs are supposed to have test tubes and mad scientists and hunchbacked guys named Igor who limp. Our language lab is just a plain old room where we learn Spanish. What's up with that? Isn't learning Spanish fun? Andrea said to her crybaby friend Emily. I hope Miss Holly teaches it. She didn't get the chance to finish her sentence because at that very second, Miss Holly danced into the door. Miss Holly was playing a guitar and she had a big basket of fruit on her head. She was singing some crazy song and spinning around and stamping her feet. Her red dress had pictures of reindeer on the back. On the front were blinking lights and the words, "Happy Holidays!" When she finished the song, Miss Holly yelled, "Ole!" which is the name of the stuff my mom smears on her face at night. "Feliz Navidad," Miss Holly said. "Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Yinu Iwi na Hiri." Whatever that is. "What the heck does that mean?" I asked. "That means Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Kwanzaa," Miss Holly replied. "Which holiday do you celebrate?" asked Emily. "Me?" said Miss Holly. "I celebrate all of them." If you ask me, it was a little early to be talking about holidays. I mean, we just came back to school from Thanksgiving break a few days ago. Miss Holly is too jolly. "I love all the holidays," Miss Holly said. "I can't wait for December." "My favorite holiday is Halloween," said Neil, who everybody calls the nude kid, even though he wears clothes. "My favorite holiday is Thanksgiving," said my friend Ryan, who will eat anything, even stuff that's not food. "My favorite holiday is my birthday," said my other friend Michael, who never ties his shoes. Everybody started shouting their favorite holidays. "What's your favorite holiday, AJ?" Miss Holly asked me. "My favorite holiday is Take Your Daughter to Work Day," I said. "That's for girls," Andrea said. "Why is that your favorite holiday, Arlo?" "Because you're not here," I replied. "That's mean," Andrea said. She crossed her arms, wrinkled up her face. She was right. It was mean. That's why I said it. I hate her. Chapter 2, Weird Words. "Hola," Miss Holly said. "Today we're learning Spanish vocabulary words." "Yay!" said the girls. "Boo!" said the boys. "The first word is toupee," said Miss Holly. "I know what a toupee is. It's fake hair that guys wear so they don't look bald. Our principal, Mr. Klutz, should get one because he's as bald as a bowling ball." The Spanish word for toupee is el pelquan, said Miss Holly. "El pelquan," we all replied. "Good," said Miss Holly. "The next word is lifeguard. The Spanish word for lifeguard is el salvavidas. El salvavidas, we all repeated. "Good," said Miss Holly. "The next word is toilet. The Spanish word for toilet is el inodoro. El inodoro, we all repeated. This was getting weird. I figured Miss Holly would teach us words we'd use every day, like, when do we eat? Or, where's the skate park? But she was teaching us weird words instead. Neil the nude kid raised his hand. "Why do we need to learn those words?" he asked. "Well," said Miss Holly, "what if you're at the beach and you need to tell somebody that the lifeguard's toupee fell in the toilet?" Miss Holly is a little weird. "Okay, that's enough vocabulary for today," Miss Holly said. "Let's learn how they celebrate the holidays in a Spanish-speaking country, like Mexico." Miss Holly told us that 11 days after Christmas, in Mexico, kids put their shoes up on the balcony before they go to sleep. If they've been good, their shoes will be filled with treats when they wake up the next morning. "Ew, that's disgusting," I said. "I wouldn't eat those smelly treats." Miss Holly said that was silly. Then she told us that For 9 days before Christmas in Mexico, people act out the journey of Mary and Joseph going to Bethlehem. After a big meal, they play the piñata game. Repeat after me, said Miss Holly. Piñata. Piñata, we all repeated. I knew what a piñata was because Ryan had one at his birthday party. It's this big hollow paper thing you hang from a tree and kids take turns whacking it with a stick. When the piñata breaks open, candy falls out and everybody grabs it. Piñatas are cool because you get to do two things together that are very cool. Eat candy and whack something with a stick. Miss Holly went to the closet and guess what she took out? I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. A piñata. It was in the shape of a star. We were going to play the piñata game, all right. Miss Holly climbed up on her desk and tied the piñata to a bar on the ceiling. Can I go first? We all yelled. Miss Holly said we'd go in ABC order, which means that Andrea, A-N, got to go first. I lined up behind her because my real name is Arlo. Begins with A-R. Miss Holly told us that in Mexico, the kids are blindfolded when they play the piñata game. She tied a blindfold over Andrea's eyes and put a stick in her hand. You can do it, Andrea, the girls yelled. I bet she misses the whole thing, I told Ryan. Well, Andrea was totally pathetic. She hardly even hit the piñata. Even when she did, she only tapped it a little, and it just spun around. All the boys were cracking up. Finally, it was my turn. Miss Holly tied the blindfold over my eyes and put the stick in my hand. Kill it, AJ, the boys yelled. No way was I going to let anybody laugh at me. I was going to whack that piñata so hard candy would fly all over the room. I reached back and swung the stick as hard as I could. But I must have missed. Ow! Somebody screamed. I took off my blindfold. Emily was lying on the floor with her hands over her head. AJ hit me, she yelled. It was an accident, I said. I must admit, I've always wanted to hit Emily with a stick, but I would never do it on purpose. It wasn't my fault that she got so close. Miss Holly gasped. Go to Mrs. Cooney's office, she told Emily. Mrs. Cooney is the school nurse. Emily went running out of the room, shrieking like an elephant fell on her. What a crybaby. She wasn't even bleeding or anything. I thought Miss Holly was going to let me have another swing, but she said the piñata game was too dangerous to play in school. Bummer in the summer. It wasn't fair. We didn't even get any candy. Chapter 3. Santa Claus is coming to town. Line up in ABC order, said our teacher, Ms. Daisy, after we finished pledging allegiance the next morning. We're having an assembly. Yay, said the girls. Boo, said the boys. Assemblies are when the whole school goes to the all-purpose room and we have to listen to somebody talk for 1,100,000 hours. The last time we had an assembly, some children's book author told us about his books. What a bore. The reading specialist, Mr. Mackey, is always trying to get us to read. I hate reading. But this assembly looked like it was going to be different. The all-purpose room was decorated with big candy canes, snowmen, and fake snow. Jingle Bells was playing on the loudspeaker. After we sat down, the most amazing thing in the history of the world happened. Something started coming down from the ceiling above the stage. At first, we couldn't tell what it was. Then we saw it was a sleigh. As it got lower, we could see Santa Claus sitting in the sleigh. Some kids were pulling long ropes that lowered the sleigh down until it reached the stage. Ho, ho, ho! It's Santa Claus! Everybody shouted. I'm not Santa Claus, the guy said. He took off his Santa hat so we could see his shiny bald head. I'm Santa Klutz! Ho, ho, ho! It was Mr. Klutz, the principal. Everyone started hooting and hollering. Miss Daisy shushed us. Shh! Mr. Klutz waited until everybody was quiet. He picked up a microphone so we could hear him better. I always get sentimental around the holiday season, Mr. Klutz said. Get it? Sentimental? We all laughed, even though Mr. Klutz didn't say anything overly funny. When the principal makes a joke, you should always laugh. That's the first rule of being a kid. If you don't laugh at the principal's jokes, he'll get mad and lock you in the dungeon down in the basement. But seriously, Mr. Klutz said, what do you do when you get when you cross a snowman with a vampire? What? We all yelled. Frostbite, he said. Get it? Frostbite? Mr. Klutz is always cracking jokes. He thinks he's a real comedian, but his jokes are terrible. It should be against the law for principals to tell jokes. Do you know why Santa's little helpers do you know why Santa's little helpers are depressed? Mr. Klutz asked. Why? We all yelled. Because they had low elf esteem. Get it? Elf esteem? Maybe if we stopped laughing at his jokes, Mr. Klutz would stop telling them. What do you call people who are afraid of Santa? Mr. Klutz asked. What? We all yelled. Claustrophobic, he said. Get it? Claustrophobic? It was horrible. It was like watching one of those movies that never ends. I looked over at Ryan and Michael. They rolled their eyes. What does Snowman eat for breakfast? Mr. Klutz asked. What? We all yelled. Snowflakes, he said. Get it? Snowflakes? Finally, Mr. Klutz ran out of jokes. What a relief. He told us he was dressed up like Santa because he had some big news. This year, elementary school will be putting on its first ever holiday pageant. That's a show about holidays. Our art teacher, Ms. Hannah, will help paint the scenery. Our music teacher, Mr. Loring, will help with the songs. Our librarian, Mrs. Rupee, will help with the research. And the director of the pageant, Mr. Klutz announced, will be our own Miss Holly. Everybody clapped, and Miss Holly danced up onto the stage with her guitar. She played, what did she play? Winter Wonderland, and we all joined in. I'm so excited, Miss Holly said. We're going to sing songs, perform skits, and have lots of fun. It's going to be the best holiday pageant ever. It sounded horrible. Chapter 4, Secret Santa. After the assembly, we walked 1,100,000 miles back to our class. Andrea was all excited about the holiday pageant. She loves to be in plays because she's a big show-off. Last year, I was in the Nutcracker, she bragged. They made a play about nuts, I asked. No wonder you were in it. Andrea got all mad. Why do you have to Be so mean, Arlo. Why do you have to be so annoying? I asked. Enough chit-chatting, Miss Daisy said, when we were all sitting in our seats. I have some important news. This year, we're going to have a secret Santa in our class. Secret Santa? Who's that? None of us ever heard of Secret Santa before. But Santa is cool, and anything that involves secrets is cool. So, secrets and Santa must both be cool, so therefore, Secret Santa is cool. Miss Daisy told us that she wrote everyone's name on slips of paper and put them into a fishbowl. Each of us would take a slip of paper out of the fishbowl, and then we'd have to get a present for that kid. But we couldn't tell the kid we were getting them a present. That's what made it a secret. Miss Daisy said we would exchange our Secret Santa presents in a few weeks, just before the big holiday pageant. If anyone forgot to bring a present, they would not be allowed to get a present either. Everybody was all excited. We lined up to pick slips of paper out of the fishbowl. I hoped I wouldn't pick some lame girl like Andrea or Emily. I'd rather get a present for Ryan or Michael or one of the other boys. We lined up in ZYX order, which is the opposite of ABC order. Everybody picked a slip of paper out of the fishbowl and giggled a little when they saw the name on it. Finally, it was my turn. There were only a couple of names left in there. No peeking, AJ, Miss Daisy told me as I reached my hand into the fishbowl. I picked up a slip of paper. I looked at the paper. The paper said, I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. The paper said, Emily. No! Not Emily. What could I possibly get for Emily? She's a real girly girl. I'll have to go to some girly girl store and buy some girly girl present like smelly perfume or something. It'll be horrible. Secret Santa is stupid. Chapter 5. Learning how to speak Spanish. This ought to be fun for everybody. A few days later, we were in the language lab with Miss Holly, and she was telling us all about Spain. It's a country in Europe, and it's the whole way across the Atlantic Ocean. Miss Holly played her guitar, sang, tap danced, and told us all kinds of useless information about Spain. Did you know that Spain is twice the size of Oregon? I didn't know that. Do you care? Me neither. In Spain, Miss Holly told us, boys and girls only have to go to school until they are 16 years old. All right, I said, I'm moving to Spain. Then you'll have to learn to speak Spanish, AJ, said Miss Holly. I told her I already knew how to speak Spanish because I saw this movie called Terminator 2, where Arnold Schwarzenegger kills a bunch of guys, and before he leaves, he says, "Hasta la vista, baby." My mom told me that meant, until we meet again. It was a cool movie. That's good, AJ, but you'll have to learn a lot more than that, Miss Holly said. Let's work on our Spanish vocabulary for the pageant. Yay, said the girls. Boo, said the boys. The first word we're going to learn today is nose, said Miss Holly. The Spanish word for nose is la nariz, said Miss Holly. La nariz, we all repeated. Good, said Miss Holly. The next word is think. The Spanish word for think is pensar. Pensar, we all replied. Good, said Miss Holly. The next word is Christmas tree. The Spanish word for Christmas tree is el árbol de Navidad. El árbol de Navidad, we all repeated. Good, good, said Miss Holly. The next word is stuck. The Spanish word for stuck is pegado. Pegado, we all repeated. Miss Holly sure picks weird words. Neil the nude kid raised his hand. Why do you need to learn these words? He asked. Well, said Miss Holly, what if you're in Spain and you need to say, I think I have a Christmas tree stuck in my nose? Miss Holly is weird. Chapter 6. The opposite of Hanukkah. During the first week of December, Miss Daisy told us all about the holidays so we'd be ready for the pageant. I already knew the story of Christmas, but I didn't know much about Hanukkah. Now, I don't remember everything Miss Daisy told us, but basically, Hanukkah has something to do with a war. I know all about war. I have some plastic army guys down in my basement. And me and Ryan and Michael line them up and shoot them with rubber bands. Anyway, 1,100,000 years ago, the Jewish people were fighting a war. They were way outnumbered by another army, but they licked them anyway. So, after the war was over, the Jewish people went back to their temple to hang out and play video games and stuff. It was dark out. They didn't have light bulbs in those days, so they had to light oil lamps, or they'd bump into the walls when they walked around to the kitchen to get more pizza. The problem was that they could only find one jar of oil. That would last one night, but they wanted to hang out all week playing video games and eating pizza for longer than that. I guess they sent somebody to the gas station to get more oil, but he never came back. So they put the one jar of oil into the lamp and lit it. The cool thing was that the oil didn't just last one night, it didn't just last 2 nights, it didn't just last 3 nights either. It lasted 8 whole nights. It was a miracle. Wow, we all said, as Miss Daisy finished telling the story of Hanukkah. I saw a miracle like that once, I said. Tell us about it, AJ, said Miss Daisy. We were driving to my grandmother's house, I said. Suddenly, our car stopped right in the middle of the highway. My dad said he thought we had a full tank of gas, but it turned out the gas gauge was broken, and the tank was actually empty. That doesn't have anything to do with Hanukkah, Andrea said. Sure it does, I said. The Jewish people thought they only had a little oil, but it turned out they had a lot. We thought we had a lot of gas, but we only had a little. It was the opposite of Hanukkah. You're a dumbhead, Andrea said. So is your face, I told her. Anytime somebody says something mean to you, all you have to do is say, so is your face. That's the first rule of being a kid. Miss Daisy told me and Andrea to knock it off. She said that Hanukkah lasts for 8 nights, and each night they light a candle in the menorah. They stick the candles in the menorah. In manure? I asked. That's disgusting. Menorah. Men or Miss Daisy said, not manure. It's like a candle holder. Oh, I said. I knew that. To celebrate Hanukkah, Jewish kids play this game with a 4-sided top called a dreidel. that spins around, and they eat potato pancakes called latkes, and they hunt for chocolate coins wrapped in gold foil. The kids get presents every night too, of course. Hanukkah's cool. Miss Daisy showed us how to spin a dreidel and gave us each a piece of chocolate money. We had a bathroom break after that, and then she said it was time to work on our writing skills. We were learning to write friendly letters, so Miss Daisy asked us if we'd like to write letters to Santa Claus. Yeah! Everybody shouted. She told us to write whatever we wanted. This is what I wrote. Dear Santa, please bring me a dirt bike, and a football, and a skateboard, and a remote control car, and that new video game where you get to kill zombies with machine guns. Also, I need a new Striker Smith action figure because mine got run over by the school bus after Ryan threw it out the window. I'll take anything else you have lying around your workshop that's cool too. I love presents, but please don't bring me anything boring stuff like clothes or books. Miss Daisy looked at what I was writing and said I had to write something besides a list of stuff I wanted. So I added this. Santa, I think you should lose some weight. On TV, they keep saying Americans weigh too much. Maybe if you work more than one day a year, you would lose some weight too. My mother lost 20 pounds on Weight Watchers. That might help you out. Also, I don't think it was nice of the other reindeer to make fun of Rudolph, laughing and calling him names. That was mean. If I was Rudolph and they wouldn't let me play any reindeer games, I'd punch those other reindeer right in the nose. Sincerely, AJ. P.S. One more thing. Did you ever hit your head on the North Pole? Miss Daisy asked if anyone wanted to read their letters in front of the class. Andrea was the only one who raised her hand, of course, so she stood up and started to read. Dear Santa, this year I don't want you to bring me anything. There are children all over the world who don't have any toys, so please take the toys you were going to give me and give them to those children. Instead, the world would be a better place if people had less toys and more peace and love. Love, Andrea. What a brown-noser! I know for a fact that Andrea only said that stuff so Miss Daisy would like her. Once I went to Andrea's house for her birthday party, and the place was filled with toys. She has enough American Girl dolls for something. She has every American Girl doll ever made. The only reason Andrea doesn't want Santa to bring her toys, any more toys, is because she has no place to put them. After Andrea finished reading her dumb letter, the most amazing thing in the history of the world happened. Miss Daisy started crying. That's the most beautiful letter I've ever heard, Andrea, said Miss Daisy. Andrea smiled her little Miss Perfect smile. Why doesn't a sack filled with toys fall on her head? Chapter 7. Is Santa Claus real? That afternoon, me and Michael and Ryan were in the vomitorium eating lunch. Andrea and Emily and the other girls were at the table next to us, so they couldn't hear us. It's noisy in the vomitorium. Everyone was hooting and hollering. The lunch lady, Miss LaGrange was wearing these antler earmuff things on her head to block out the sound. Miss LaGrange is strange. I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Michael had a tuna sandwich. Ryan had 2 pieces of bread and some slices of ham. Instead of putting the ham between the bread slices, he put it on the outside of the bread. Then he started eating it. Why didn't you put the meat on your sandwich? I asked him. It's not a sandwich, Ryan replied. It's a witch sand. Ryan's weird. I'll bet Santa's not going to read those letters we wrote, Michael said, as he bit into his sandwich. Santa doesn't even exist, Ryan said. One time I saw this Santa guy on the street ringing a bell, and then on the next block, there was another Santa guy who looked just like him. Maybe the second one was a clone, I said. My friend Billy, who lives around the corner, told me that they can take a cell from a sheep and clone it into a whole nother sheep. Nother isn't a word, AJ, Michael said. Neither's your face, I told him. Look, it's just impossible for one guy to visit every single house in the world in one night, Ryan said. Besides, our house doesn't even have a chimney. How would he even get in? If you don't have a chimney, Michael said, Santa comes in through the toilet bowl. Everybody has one of those. That's disgusting, I said, and he couldn't fit through the toilet anyway. It's just impossible, Ryan said. There's no way Santa could make toys for every kid in the world. He has Elvis to help him, I said. Michael and Ryan looked at me. Not Elvis, dumbhead, Michael yelled, slapping his forehead. Elves. He has elves to help him. I knew that. At the table beside us, Andrea and her annoying friends were giggling. They must have been listening in on our private conversation. You better watch out, Arlo, Andrea said. Santa has a list. He's checking twice. He knows if you've been bad or good, said Emily. So be good, for goodness sake. Who asked you to, I said. You're naughty, Andrea said. But Emily and I are nice, so Santa's going to bring us good presents. He's probably going to bring you a lump of coal. That's okay, I said. I'll give it away to some poor boys and girls who don't have any coal. Then we'll have more peace and love in the world. Ryan and Michael cracked up. Na-na-na-boo-boo on Andrea. Why doesn't a giant lump of coal fall on her head? Chapter 8. Getting ready for the holiday pageant. Buenos dias, Miss Holly said a few days later. That means good day in Spanish. There were red and green balloons and streamers all over the hallway. Spanish Christmas music was playing, and Miss Holly had that basket of fruit on her head again. Everybody was excited about our first rehearsal for the big holiday pageant. Everybody, except the boys, that is. When we got to the language lab, Miss Holly was up on a ladder tapping little plants to the walls. What's that? Asked Neil, the new kid. It's mistletoe, said Miss Holly. What a dumb name. Mistletoe. Missiles blast into outer space. How can a missile have a toe? They should definitely get a new name for that plant. Miss Holly told us that when two people are standing under the mistletoe, they're supposed to kiss. Ew, yuck. Disgusting! I'm not kissing anyone, and I'm sure not going to kiss anyone just because some plant told me to. Mistletoe is creepy. I'm not going anywhere near that stuff. Miss Holly told us that besides Christmas and Hanukkah, there is another holiday that we celebrate in December. It's an African American holiday called Kwanzaa. Ryan got all excited because that's the holiday his family celebrates. Miss Holly asked him to tell us about it. Ryan told us that Kwanzaa means first fruits, and it celebrates the harvesting of the crops. It starts with it starts the day after Christmas and lasts 7 days. Each day you light a candle in this candle holder called a inara. Then somebody will say Harambe, which means let's pull together in Swahili. It wasn't fair. Christmas only lasts 1 day, but Kwanzaa lasts 7 days, and Hanukkah lasts for 8. Man, I wish I was black or Jewish. Ryan told us that on Amba, the 6th day of Kwanzaa, they have a big feast called Aramu. They eat fried okra, vegetable stew, squash, peanut soup, and sweet potato pie. Ugh, yuck. Ryan will eat anything. If I had to eat that stuff, I'd die. But other than eating that yucky food, Kwanzaa sounded pretty cool. Ryan taught us a Kwanzaa song called Amba, and Miss Holly said it would be perfect for the holiday pageant. Then Miss Holly told us that we were going to have to wear costumes and memorize lines. The holiday pageant was sounding lamer and lamer. She also said we needed to pick kids for the speaking parts. All the girls got excited. Ooh, can I be the Sugar Plum Fairy? Begged Andrea. Ooh, can I sing the dreidel song? Begged Emily. What about the boys? Asked Miss Holly. Which speaking parts do you want? We don't want any speaking parts, I answered. That's right, agreed Michael and Ryan. I won't force you to take a speaking part, Miss Holly said, but you do have to be in the pageant. You 3 boys will be stage crew. Stage crew? I asked. What's that? That means you'll work in the you'll work the spotlight and move the scenery and props around, said Miss Holly. Being on the stage crew sounded cool. I looked at Ryan and Michael to make sure they thought so too. No problemo, I said. That's Spanish for no problem, in case you don't speak Spanish as well as I do. But I'll still need to, but I'll still need you to wear costumes, Miss Holly said, because we need elves. We must have elves. You can't have a holiday pageant without elves. We don't want to be elves, Michael said. Elves are lame. Yeah, I'm not dressing up like an elf either, I said. Miss Holly looked at us, and I could tell that she was getting mad because she put her hands on her hips. Whenever grown-ups put their hands on their hips, that means they're mad. Nobody knows why. I was afraid Miss Hawley might punish us by making us be sugar plum fairies or something. Then we'd have to wear tights, like my sister. That's when I got the greatest idea in the history of the world. Instead of dressing up like elves, I said, can we dress up like Elvis? Miss Hawley thought it over for a few seconds. Okay, she finally agreed. You three boys can be Elvis. All right, maybe the holiday pageant wouldn't be so lame after all. Chapter 9, the most horrible thing in the history of the world. A couple of days later, around 2 o'clock, we came into the all-purpose room for rehearsal. Miss Hawley was wearing a Santa Claus hat and a beard. She's weird. Habadi Gani, she said. What the heck is that? I asked. That means, what's the news? In Swahili, said Ms. Hawley. You say it during Kwanzaa. It was a week before the big holiday pageant, and we had to rehearse every day. There was a lot of work to do. We had Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa songs to learn, lines to memorize, and entrances and exits to practice. Me and Ryan and Michael had to learn how to move the scenery and props around and work the spotlights. At the end of the pageant, it would be our job to lower Santa Claus, Mr. Klutz, of course, and his sleigh down from the ceiling with ropes. That was going to be cool. Miss Hawley said that because we were Elvises, it should be Elvi, Elvises, we could sing Hound Dog. Even though it didn't have anything to do with the holidays, Mr. Loring, our music teacher, played piano and for all the songs. Miss Hawley played her guitar. Emily got to sing a solo. She is a big crybaby, but she has a pretty good voice, and Miss Hawley let her sing the dreidel song. Emily was practicing it when I came up with the most brilliant idea in the history of the world. Since she's singing a song about dreidels, I said to Miss Hawley, maybe she should spin around too. Great idea, AJ, said Miss Hawley. I'm in the Gifted and Talented program, and I'm constantly coming up with genius ideas. I should get the Nobel Prize for that one. At the end of rehearsal, Miss Hawley told us how proud she was. She said the holiday pageant was going to be great. Miss Hawley was so pleased that she told us she was going to invite Dr. Carbles, the president of the Board of Education, to come and see the show. Wow! If the principal is the king of the school, the president of the Board of Education must be like the king of the whole world or something. We rehearsed until 3 o'clock when it was time for dismissal. Then we lined up outside the doorway in ABC order. That's when Andrea turned around and whispered in my ear, "Hey, Arlo, look up." I looked up. It was that mistletoe stuff. It was hanging from the doorway right over our heads. How did it get up there? I remember what Miss Hawley told us about mistletoe. If two people are under it, they're supposed to kiss. Andrea was standing there with her lips all puckered up like she was trying to whistle. Ew, yuck, disgusting. What is her problem? No way was I going to kiss Andrea. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I had to think fast. I looked around to see if Ryan and Michael were watching. You have to kiss me, Arlo, Andrea whispered. I do not. Do to? No way. Yes way. Not in my lifetime. It's the rule, Arlo. Says who? If you don't kiss me, you'll be in trouble, Arlo. I'd rather be in trouble than kiss Andrea. I'd rather be run over by a herd of buffalo than kiss Andrea. I'd rather have an elephant fall on my head than kiss Andrea. I'd rather... I didn't get the chance to finish my thought because at that very moment, the most horrible thing in the history of the world happened. Andrea kissed me. Ugh! On the lips. I thought I was going to throw up. Quickly, I wiped my lips off. I wiped off my lips. My lips stayed on my face, but I wiped them off. What I'm trying to say is I didn't want to be infected by Andrea's disgusting cooties. I just hoped nobody saw what happened. Ooh! Ryan said. Andrea and AJ just kissed. They must be in love. When are you going to get married? Asked Michael. If those guys weren't my best friends, I'd hate them. Chapter 10. My genius idea. My life was over. I ran home so fast, I could have won a gold medal in the Olympics. Now that Andrea had kissed me, going back to school was out of the question. I could never show my face there again. Ryan and Michael would never let me hear the end of it. That's when I got a genius idea. I could get plastic surgery. My friend Billy, who lives around the corner, told me that some lady in France got a face transplant. The doctors just took somebody else's face and put it on her head. Cool, I could do that. I could get a new face and go back to school. Nobody would know it was me. But getting a face transplant sounded disgusting, and my parents probably wouldn't let me get one anyway. They wouldn't even get me a new Stryker Smith action figure to replace the one that Ryan threw out the bus window. No way were they going to get me a new face. Now that Andrea had kissed me, I had no other choice. I had to move to Antarctica, where no human being would ever see me again. I would live with the penguins. Penguins are cool, and they wouldn't care that Andrea kissed me. Can you drive me to Antarctica? I asked my mother after school. I need to go live with the penguins for the rest of my life. Sure, she replied, but first we have to go to the pet store. Oh, I completely forgot. We were all out of fish food. My chore at home is to take care of our fish. Mom told me first thing in the morning that after school we were going to go to the pet store to get fish food. Mom says I have to do chores like feeding our fish because doing chores makes you a responsible person. That makes no sense at all. I'm already a responsible person. Anytime something goes wrong, everybody says I'm responsible. So we drove to the pet store. They have all kinds of animal stuff there. They even have a Christmas presents for pets. People actually give gifts to their dogs? Dog owners are weird. You have to be real careful with fish. You have to feed them, clean out their tank, and make sure the filter is working. I found the fish food and got in line with my mom to pay for it. There was a little sign in front of the cash register that said, "Did you forget anything?" Did I forget anything? That's when I suddenly remembered what I had forgotten. I forgot all about the Secret Santa present I was supposed to get for Emily. We had to bring them in tomorrow. Oh man, if I didn't bring in a Secret Santa present for Emily, I wouldn't get a present from my Secret Santa. And I love getting presents. I had to go back to school. If I went to Antarctica, I wouldn't get my Secret Santa present. Mom, I asked, can you drive me to the mall after this? I thought you wanted me to drive you to Antarctica. I changed my mind, I said. I need to go to a smelly perfume store to get a Secret Santa present for Emily. My mom was really mad. The stores are all crowded before Christmas, and the traffic is really bad, she said. She didn't have time to waste to take me to the smelly perfume store. That's when I got another one of my genius ideas. I could get Emily a present right there at the pet store. They sell goldfish for just 10 cents. I could get Emily a couple of goldfish. They would make a way cooler present than smelly perfume anyway. And I wouldn't have to waste a lot of money buying smelly perfume for that crybaby Emily, who I don't even like. The lady behind the counter even said she'd put the goldfish in a plastic bag filled with water and wrap them up in a box for me. I'm a genius. That's why I'm in the Gifted and Talented program. Chapter 11, The Arrival of Secret Santa. I was nervous about going to school the next morning. I wanted to get my Secret Santa present, but I didn't want the guys to make fun of me for getting kissed by Andrea. I decided to stay away from her no matter what. I put my backpack in my cubby. Ryan and Michael didn't even mention anything about me kissing Andrea. I guess they forgot about it. After we pledged the allegiance, everybody got all excited because it was time to open our Secret Santa presents. Ryan got a jigsaw puzzle from his Secret Santa. Michael got Legos from his Secret Santa. Neil the Nude Kid got a model plane from his Secret Santa. I kept waiting for my turn. Who is AJ's Secret Santa? Miss Daisy finally asked. I am! It was Andrea. Oh man, if I had known that Andrea was my Secret Santa, I would have moved to Antarctica. Ooh, said Ryan. AJ got a present from Andrea. She kissed him too. They must be in love. When are you going to get married? Asked Michael. I told them both to shut up. Andrea gave me the present. I tore off the wrapping paper and the dumb bow, which serves no purpose at all. Then I opened the box. And do you know what was inside? I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I'll tell you. It was a hat. A hat! Who gets a kid a hat? A hat isn't a present. A hat is clothes. It was horrible. Not only that, but it looked just like the dumb hat Andrea wears all the time. I knitted it myself, Andrea said, in my knitting class. How wonderful, Andrea, said Miss Daisy. A homemade present is so much nicer than something you buy in a store, AJ. What do you say to Andrea? No way I was going to wear a hat that looked just like Andrea's dumb hat. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I had to think fast. I hate hats, I said. You're mean, Andrea said. Miss Daisy made me apologize to Andrea, so I told her I was sorry she made me a dumb hat. "Who has Emily's Secret Santa?" asked Miss Daisy. "I am," I said. I took out the present and gave it to Emily. I was so excited because my present was way cooler than all the others. She opened it up. "What is it?" everybody asked. Emily pulled the plastic bag out of the box and started crying. It's a dead fish," she sobbed. "I can't believe you got me a dead fish for Christmas, AJ." "It wasn't dead when I got it," I said. "And there were 2 of them. Where's the other one?" "They must have eaten each other," said Ryan. "Stuff like that happens all the time with fish, you know." "Man, there's 20 cents I wasted," I said. "This is going to be terrible Christmas," Emily cried as she went running out of the room. "And AJ is responsible." "See, I told you I was responsible." Chapter 12, the big holiday pageant. Finally, the day of the holiday pageant arrived. Everybody came to school in their costumes. Miss Holly wore a Santa suit. Me, and Ryan and Michael wore black jackets and had our hair greased up so we looked like Elvis. It was cool. We peeked through the curtain from backstage. The all-purpose room was packed with parents. A bunch of them were setting up video cameras to record the show. "Guess what?" Miss Holly said. "Dr. Carbles, the president of the Board of Education, is here. He's sitting in the front row. Let's put on a great show for him." The stage was decorated with big candy canes, snowmen, and fake snow, and a giant reindeer. It looked great. Miss Holly nodded to me and Ryan. And Michael. We pulled a long rope to open the curtain. The show started out with one of the 5th grade classes telling the story of Christmas. After that, me and Michael and Ryan sang Hound Dog. Everybody went crazy. After that one of the 4th grade classes told the story of Kwanzaa. After that, we sang Winter Wonderland. After that, one of the 3rd grade classes told the story of Hanukkah. After that, Emily sang the dreidel song. "Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel, I made you out of clay." Me and Michael and Ryan were taking turns working the spotlight. And it was my turn. I shone the light on Emily while she sang and spun around. "The light's too high, AJ," Ryan said. "You're shining it in her eyes." "I am not," I said. "Are too," he said. We went back and forth like that for a while, but we didn't get the chance to finish the argument because the most amazing thing in the history of the world happened. While Emily was singing and twirling around, she must have slipped on some fake snow or something because she fell off the stage. You should have been there. Even when Emily was falling, she tried to grab hold of the giant reindeer, but it wasn't nailed down or anything. And the 2 of them fell into the front row and landed right on Dr. Carbles as president of the School Board of Education. It was a real Kodak moment. People were screaming. Miss Cooney, the nurse, ran over to make sure Emily was okay. The reindeer's head fell off, and some of the kindergartners started crying. It was hilarious, and we got to see it live and in person. Miss Holly ran onto the stage and told the audience there would be a short intermission backstage while the girls were all of the girls were upset. All the boys were laughing our heads off. "This is the worst holiday pageant ever," said Andrea, "and Arlo is responsible." "Me?" I asked. "What did I do?" "It was your idea for Emily to spin around," she said, "and you shined the spotlight in her eyes. That's why she fell off the stage." "Now, everything is just a big mess. So is your face," I told her. Miss Holly said we should both calm down. She said the show was still great and that we should get ready for the big finale. All the kids in the school were going to gather on stage and sing Jingle Bells, while Santa's Elvises, that's us, lowered Mr. Klutz and his sleigh full of presents down from the ceiling. Everybody got into position. Mr. Klutz climbed into the sleigh. In his Santa costume, Ryan pulled open the curtain. Me and Michael grabbed the ropes to lower the sleigh down from the ceiling. The parents started clapping. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Me and Michael pulled on the ropes. The only problem was my rope was stuck. "My rope's stuck," I yelled over to Michael. But he couldn't hear me over the music. He kept pulling his rope. "Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh, hey!" I looked up at the sleigh. The front of it was coming down, but the back part was stuck. The sleigh was tilting forward. Mr. Klutz was going to fall. I tried to get my rope loose, but it was still stuck. Michael kept lowering the front end of the sleigh. Mr. Klutz reached up and grabbed one of the poles on the ceiling. Jingle bells, jingle bells. Jingle all the kids didn't get the chance to finish their song because all of the presents that were in the sleigh tumbled out and fell on their heads. Some of the parents started screaming. Mr. Klutz was hanging from the pole near the ceiling. I guess it was the North Pole. Ha ha. "Help! Help!" he yelled. Mr. Klutz's Santa hat and fake beard fell off. The beard landed on some first grader's head. She freaked out and threw it into the audience. It landed on some lady. She screamed and threw it off her like it was a dead animal. It landed on some other lady, and she screamed too. The parents were throwing the beard around and around the all-purpose room. The custodian, Miss Lazar, ran to get a ladder so she could rescue Mr. Klutz. "Those Elvises ruined the show," some kids shouted. I looked at Ryan. Ryan looked at Michael. Michael looked at me. We didn't have to say anything. The three of us made a run for the exit, backstage. "It's Arlo's fault," Andrea hollered. "He's responsible." "The Elvises have left the building," Michael yelled as we ran out the door. "Hasta la vista, baby!" I yelled. I ran out of there as fast as I could. I don't know if we'll ever go back. Well, that's what happened at our big holiday pageant. Maybe me and Ryan and Michael will have to go live in Antarctica for the rest of our lives. Maybe Miss Holly will go live in Spain. Maybe the video of Emily falling off the stage will end up on America's Funniest Home Videos. Maybe me and Ryan and Michael will be allowed to come back to school. Maybe we'll have a better holiday pageant next year. Maybe Miss Lazar will be able to forget. Oh, sorry. Maybe Miss Lazar will be able to get Mr. Klutz down from the ceiling. But it wouldn't be easy. The end. And that's a wrap for that. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that little thing. Sorry about the mangled Spanish and the slightly butchered pronunciation of some of the other words, but you can't win them all. Have a good evening, and we'll be back next time with, we'll probably go back to Here's Hank, but who knows? See ya.
Camera chooser. Back. Button. Stop recording.